Okay, we're good. I'll call the St. Croix Central School Board meeting to order. We have the best schools in America. And we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Let the roll reflect that everybody here is except Dave Roos, who has a church meeting tonight, and he'll be a little late. So show his appearance when he arrives. The meeting been properly notified. Notification. And
yes, meeting is properly noticed, and also as a reminder, it's being live streamed and recorded.
Perfect. Highlight on youth, Battle of Books, third grade teacher. Oh, we have a sixth grade teacher here too.
She was unable to make it.
Oh, hey, just to have you do.
I had fun sidekicks though. All right, so I'm Abby Gilcher. I'm a third grade teacher at the elementary school, and I am the advisor for Battle of the Books. So I have a little slide of just what is Battle of the Books, and then more importantly, you get to hear from the actual participants because they're way cuter and more fun to listen to than I am. So I'll give a little spiel of what is Battle of the Books, and then you can hear from these guys. So. There. So what is Battle of the Books? It's a statewide reading challenge, really just to promote a love of reading. There is 3 levels. We have an elementary. The books are actually meant for 4th through 6th, but because of the way our elementary is designed, we open it up to 3rd grade. So 3rd and 4th at the elementary, and then we have a middle school team that carries and goes and runs. Really like why? Why do we have Battle of the Books? It's been so fun just to see like igniting a passion for reading, really motivating students to read a diverse set of books that maybe they wouldn't pick up otherwise. There's a great selection of fiction and nonfiction. Encourages students to really think deeply about characters, motivation, setting, plot. The questions that they have to answer are really challenging. They have to really infer meanings behind books. So it's not just surface level questions. Encouraging students to develop their reading habits. And it's really just to promote a love of reading for all kids. So how it works, there's 20 pre-selected books chosen by librarians, teachers all over the state of Wisconsin. Kids can work in teams up to 4. We had optional practices starting in October on Wednesdays. And then we just had our grade-wide competition end of February 18th. And then our statewide battle was February 25th this year. So here is the book list. You can see there's a variety of genres. There's a mix of chapter books, picture books. Some of them are really challenging too. So it's just neat to see some of these kids picking up books that maybe otherwise they couldn't have. Here are some pictures from our elementary battle. The top picture, you can see that was all the 3rd grade participants. That bottom picture is all the 4th grade participants. So they had a grade-wide battle. We brought all the kids into the library. They had teams had buzzers. It was basically Jeopardy-style questions about all 20 of the books. And they either had to know the author or the title, or sorry, the name of the book, wherever it was coming from, or the author. So kids buzzed in. We had golden microphones, the whole works going. It was such a blast. All the kids in there cheering and rooting them on. So the left side is our picture of our 4th grade winners, and the right side was our 3rd grade Battle of the Books winners for this year. I forgot to say too, we had over 64 kids. Almost every week at one point, we got so big that I literally couldn't fit all the kids in my classroom anymore. So we had to move practices into the library because all the kids wanted to stay and read books and maybe just come for snacks. I don't know. But regardless, if they want to stay after school to read and talk about books, I think it's a win. So we had 64 kids actually participate in the battle, which was so much fun. So I'll stop talking. You guys get to hear from these guys. I have Jake Fredrickson, I have Sophie, and I have Braylon. All 3 of them are also in my class, so they love them too. But I coaxed them to come tonight, and I thought you guys really want to hear from them. So I'm going to have them answer 2 questions. What did you guys most enjoy about being in Battle of the Books? And what would be a book you'd recommend to these guys? So Brandon, I'll let you start. Go ahead.
My favorite part was probably reading all the books or having a team with all my friends.
What book would you suggest for them?
Hacks.
Go ahead, Jake.
It's really fun to pick up new books that I probably wouldn't read normally. Like, Vlad, I probably wouldn't read, and then I read it and I discovered that I really liked it. It was a really cool book, and then I would recommend The One and Only Family. My favorite part was that I had something to work forward to, because usually I just read Dilly Dally. And my favorite book was Out of My Mind.
Very good. And you guys are holding something in your hand. You want to tell them about that?
Go ahead, so we got as we completed out books, we got beads to put on our keychain for each book we completed.
Nice.
Awesome.
Will you guys do it again next year?
Definitely.
Sophie was actually asking, she's like, I didn't see there was a high school team. I said, well, we actually don't have a high school team. She said, you need to change that. So right when we got here. So working on that for next year, we do high school team. Do you guys have any questions?
So I visited your wax museum. What characters were each of you?
I was Michelle Kwan.
Nice.
I was Michael Jordan. I was Jackie Robinson.
Awesome. Very cool. Awesome. It was amazing. For the people that didn't go, they sat on the cafeteria bench. They had a little poster of what character they would. And then they had a red button and you press the button and they stood up and explained who they were and character and dressed the character. It was phenomenal. It was awesome.
Braylon, you should probably have your dad buy you a 42 Jackie Robinson Dodgers jersey.
Great. Any other?
Nice job, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Stitch, right? Stitched. Yes, exactly. The old wool.
Next is virtual school. Somebody-
All right, Steph's gonna introduce this. She's online, and then I'll play the audio.
Might want to give a quick second.
Oh,
Oh, hold on a
Can
second.
you hear me?
Yep.
Thanks, Miss Dilcher.
Thank you.
this is.
Yeah, this is.
Bye, Justin. Thanks.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. So thanks for having us. I know this recording is a little bit different, obviously, than having someone in person, but this recording is really special to us because this student not only was aging out this year, which means if he did not finish classes by the end of the school year, he no longer was eligible through the state of Wisconsin to get a diploma because he's currently 20 years old. But the student never showed his face on camera in any of his meetings, but was so excited to be finished and that the support that he had received, he was so excited about that he was willing to record something for us to specifically share with you. He knew that's exactly what was going to happen with it. So we were really excited for him. Obviously, it doesn't always turn out like this when we take a chance on some of these kids that are older and nearing graduation and super credit deficient. But when they put their minds to it and are determined, we are so happy that we were able to give them a chance to get a diploma. So this is William Olson, a super senior. Ignore his pronunciation of St. Croix Virtual Academy so that you can hear the message. I just wanted to preface with that, but really, really special that he was willing to do this for us. So we'll take a listen.
Hello. I don't really know what to say. There's a lot of things I want to say, especially of how my experience has been with St. Croix Virtual Academy. But I guess I'll start from the beginning. Around 2020, I was in Greenfield High School and I was getting bullied. I wasn't really doing the best in class and a lot of stuff was going on. And then with COVID coming around and then implementing the whole virtual learning, it opened me to a new way of learning, and it also opened me up to starting to go away from being high school and actually start doing virtual. I went to a virtual school and it wasn't a fit for me. I think I stayed there for about 2 years in that virtual school, and my grades were slipping and I wasn't doing good. The way that they were trying to teach me was not working as well, and I was starting to become a lot more lazier. And afterwards, we clearly knew, me and my family knew that it wasn't a good fit for me, so we decided to look for a different school. That's when St. Croix Virtual Academy came up, and also we were looking for a new school to go to. And I've been in the school for, not in school literally, but on the laptop that you guys gave me. But a lot has changed. Kind of towards the beginning, I still wasn't doing homework, but I was doing a lot more, and you guys were very open with how I was wanting to learn and do my stuff, and I really wanted to graduate. I definitely hit some road bumps here and there, but it didn't really matter because you guys were there no matter what, especially Karsten and Carly. I said, it was a real eye opener for me, and I realized that even if I don't like homework, I need to do it anyways. And you guys being open to what best helped me do my homework, it was really. I don't think I couldn't have gotten it done without you guys. I mean, I never really realized how much easier it would have been for me doing it verbally, like how I did, and how much I knew, and like how fun it was to do homework and go to the meetings, because doing homework and writing it down, you don't really get your point across sometimes. And me being able to just speak my answer was so much better. And a lot of other things that went on, I was moving and you guys were really open with it. And it made me want to push myself even more to make sure that I graduated. And I don't think another school could have done it better than St. Croix Virtual Academy, especially the teachers and the staff that helped me along the way. And I really appreciate all your guys' time and effort that you guys put into me. And I wanted to make sure that that time and effort was not wasted. And I personally think that St. Croix Virtual Academy is, if not the best virtual experience that any kid, including myself, could ever have. And I want to say from the bottom of my heart, I thank you guys for putting up with me and my ups and downs. And we got pretty close to the end mark, but I'm glad that I finished, and I'm glad that everyone was rooting for me the whole time. And it just showed how a good support system is so beneficial to students. And I really hope that this helps to show that what you guys are doing and putting in all this work is really paying off. Because students like me need teachers and people like you, so that way we can graduate. Because, man, it was definitely a hard time figuring out what was best for me, how to learn. I put in the effort, and you guys accepted how I would answer using my effort and how I took in information and spoke it out in my own way. And I really do appreciate it, and thank you all.
Does Steph have anything else to say?
Yeah, so obviously really excited for him. And I just want to give a huge shout out to all the staff that worked with him and were able to support him. And he talked about those ways that they were able to differentiate some of the work and assignments and quizzes and tests and let him speak some of his answers and get across that knowledge in a different way that worked for him. We have amazing staff, and I want to make sure to give all of them a shout out because they've all been working with him for a very long time. So I just want to make sure to acknowledge all of them tonight as well.
Awesome.
Thank you, Steph.
Thanks. It's awesome.
Thank you so much.
CTE.
Oh, 1 second. Something. Usually I bring it down. All right. When I was trying to think of what to talk about tonight, I realized 5 years ago I was here presenting on an update on Panther Catering. And then as I was putting all my data together, I was like, it's the 10th year birthday of Panther Catering, which is like my second child. So it's like, so anyway, I'm Courtney Hawkins. If you don't know who I am, I'm a family consumer science teacher here at St. Clair Central High School. Proudly having this role and the program that we have at St. Clair Central High School. I could talk all day about how awesome of a program we have. So I decided I kind of want to give an update from where we've come, where we're at now, where we're going, hopefully. So I was hired in 2014. When I was hired here, I left a very small school. And I remember talking to the administration when I was in my interview. And after leaving that school, I held with the NHS group and a few other student groups a huge fundraiser that helped raise money for one of our students who had cancer. And we had helped pay for his treatments. And so that was kind of my inspiration when I came here to SCC. And I was like, man, I think I could really start a student-led food business. And so that's kind of was my overall arching goal when I came here. So we have obviously changed to where we are now. When I first started in 2014, I was blessed to work with Sue here. We had a 2-person department, and then she was blessed to be retired. No. So we did, you can see our courses have changed since we have become a 1-person department. I keep pushing Mr. Johnson, like someday Ms. Hawkins would love a second teacher, and you'll see why on my next slide. But we do have a very strong, heavy culinary program, and I am so proud of that we can offer all the culinary courses that we have, because cooking is a very important life skill. But there's other important life skills that family consumer science also covers that we don't cover at the moment, but we'll get there. Before I leave, we will get there. So new this year is I have the 2 independent studies, which I kind of want to talk a bit about because you know how much I get inspired by kids that have an end-all goal when they leave here. So right now I have an independent study student who is like at my heart right now. She is going for baking and pastries, and her overall goal is she either wants to go into business or she wants to run her own bakery, which is also like my retirement dream, because why would I stop working? So when she told me that, I was like, you are going to be in an independent study. So like the last 2 days, she has a 10-unit outline for what she's going to do before her last day as a senior in order to help her decide where she wants to go after she walks out our doors. And I am so blessed to be able to be a part of that decision process for her. So, and I get to guide her and watch the cool things that she's going to make, like including croissants. So I'm so excited because we never get to do that in class because it takes like 2 weeks. So I'm pumped for her to get to do that. So anyway, I just wanted to show you this to kind of show you where we are right now, with my hope that we can add some extra classes in the future. We do want to get the cafe open to the community, but we kind of need an entrepreneurial class to run that. It's really hard right now trying to get through all of our standards and run the cafe. So we do run the cafe after school during the winter sports, and that has been really good and successful. It ties in perfectly with the middle school play kids too. So thank goodness for the middle school kids because they're my best customers. So, all right, anyway, my next slide. This slide is one that just brings me joy. You could see our growth throughout all of my time here has been huge. But the next school year, when I got the numbers from Mrs. Dino, I almost fell out of my chair. 400 kids signed up, brings me to tears, for our culinary program. And so that makes me very proud that I have 400 kids that want to be in my classroom and learn what I teach. So it makes me proud that, we have so many kids that enjoy food, but they want to be there. They want to be a part of what we have at SCC within our culinary program. So anyway, all right, changing roles. Another hat that I get to wear, other than being a foods teacher and a sewing teacher, I also advise our FCCLA group. So if you don't know what it is, we're kind of a smaller group, we're a little quieter group. But we are a career and technical student organization. So in the CTE department, we have CTSOs. So that's what that means. So we do a lot of community-based activities. So the ones I have listed there, Buckle Up for a Cup was our new one this year. My students went out to the parking lot and they checked parents and students to see, are you wearing your seatbelt? And if you're wearing your seatbelt, you get a Quick Trip coupon, which is awesome because if you don't know, I love Quick Trip. So, and I love people going to Quick Trip. So when we had the speaker at our last PD day, I was like, I wanted his autograph so bad. But anyway, we also do community events. We've done trick or treat for the food shelf, where before Halloween, we will go around and just trick or treat for canned goods that we would then donate to the local food shelf or our food pantry that's in need. Dine-In Day is a specific family consumer ed event. It's held on December 3rd. Not a lot of people today eat their dinner around a table conversing with one another. So Dine-In Day was created from Family Consumer Science to kind of force people to sit down without a screen and just enjoy a meal together talking, because there's a lot of value in that. I won't get into all the data on that, but that's something else that we really push for. Trunk Junk is probably one of my favorite things that we get to do, because I get to give away all these really cool prizes to our high school kids. But we do it kind of before the snow flies, but they are prepped to clean out their trunk and make sure they have all the appropriate winter gear in their car, so that if they go in the ditch or if they happen to have their car break down, you have all the stuff in your car that you need in the event that something happens. So we also get to give away like gas cards and subway cards that we get from the Wisconsin Children's Hospital. We partner with them for these. Next month is our new campaign with the Wisconsin Children's Hospital. I'm so excited for it. It's another Quick Trip prize. It's called the Mind on the Drive campaign. So students have to download an app, and then every time they ride or drive in a vehicle, they have to report it on their app, and the app actually takes account for everything they're doing. And then they then check it at the end of the month, and they will come find me. And then they either get a free Culver's concrete mixer, a medium one, so it's like a good size, or a $25 gift card to Quick Trip. So that's a pretty cool one that they're starting new. So, and then the last big thing that FCCLA does is we hold a mock crash scene. The last one we did was 2016-17 school year, so we're overdue for another one. Because we work with the local police department and then all the other agencies involved in the crash scene. So we want to do it every 4+ years so that students don't repeat the crash scene, so they kind of know what's going to happen. So we are working on that for next year. I've already met with the chief of police in preparation for that. So hopefully we get that going next year, but it takes a lot of work because we have to make sure nobody else gets injured that day so they can all be at our school to pretend to save people. So anyway, so that's all about FCCLA, another organization that I run at the high school. Any questions on that?
On the Mind on the Drive campaign,
Yes.
so they record all of this. Is there any post activities that, how often are you on your phone? You know, are you doing the right thing?
That might be something we kind of hit on within our bonus hours, because the teachers, I've emailed them the link of the videos so they can learn how to use the app. Since this is the first go at it, I don't know how it's gonna go, but that would definitely be something that we would tie into, because SCCLA actually has even a competition where students can create a video, like an advertisement about not texting and driving. So it would be a good tie-in, but I'm gonna see how this goes
Oh,
first. So, yeah, because one of the other teachers asked me, like, I have freshmen, can they participate? And I was like, they're riders. You can type in that you're a passenger, because a passenger can also distract a driver. So that can make an impact, and it makes them think about being a responsible passenger as well. So.
So I'm a little disappointed in your enthusiasm.
Sorry, it's
You
also my
hardly
nerves.
appear to even care about kids. It's just awesome. I have to remember when you came and you had 4 young gentlemen, 3, oh, sorry. No, I won't
That's
say
okay,
it.
then I don't have to cry.
They
again.
had 3 of the kids had talked to the parents and talked to the principal
Yes.
about dropping out of school. And they got involved in statewide competition of creating a menu and then preparing it. And they actually won this whole state tournament, and they all
It was
finished
cool
school.
skating.
It was, I still brag about it, you know, it has to be 10 years ago, at least.
It is, because they were the founding 4 kids of Panther
But
Catering.
it was really amazing. And just to see these kids that, you know, they all say they don't like talking in public, and then they're here and talking to us like they're talking to a best friend,
Mhm.
and just how proud they were to present their menu, and they prepared it for us. And it was just, I mean, it just evidence of what SCC, but you in particular, do to get kids to make sure you capture their attention and keep them in school. It was, I mean, those kids were not going to finish school. I mean, their parents had already talked to Glenn Webb, I think at the time, about not finishing, what that looked like. And so it was awesome.
Yes.
I just wanted to share all 3 of my boys that went through your class. That's all they talk about when they come home. And Cohen was trying
Around
to
the
drop.
dinner table, right?
Yeah. Cohen was trying to drop his Spanish class because there was none of his friends in the class, but he would have had to remove foods, and he's like, no way. I just wanted to share that with you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Well, my second child is Panther Catering, and I added on cafe on here because even though we're not open to the community, I have some news and updates for that in regards to the community partnerships that we have formed, and I'm so excited for what that's going to be. So, next slide. All right. So, as Jeff already talked about, the 4 kids that started this program. It was really weird. These 4 kids were in an independent study, and we were all sitting around one day and we're like, hey, what are you going to do? You can't just come in every day and cook whatever you want. You have to have a meaning behind this independent study. And I went to my mailbox and I got the thing about the culinary thing, and I was like, interesting. Never thought that this would probably be a thing at SCC. And then they picked it up and looked at it, and Rainey, he is in the championship picture, he's on the far right there. He was like, we can win this. And so Rainey is probably the one I talk about the most because I am in most contact with Rainey. Secondly would be Nick Jones, who's on the opposite left side there. But Rainey is the only student I have ever had in my classroom. If any of you are bakers, I know you know your mom's a baker, but in baking, you have to be so precise with your measuring because it's all about food chemistry and how everything works together. Rainey made a cake in my class without measuring anything, and it came out perfectly. I could not believe it. I was like, Rainey, you need to go into culinary. And he was like, I'm going to be a nurse anesthetist. I'm like, you're going to go into culinary. So, and it's funny because he did end up going to be a nurse anesthetist, and then he stopped and went into culinary and said, I should have listened to you in the first place. So, and I went, yeah, I know. So anyway, these guys were the beginning. Like Jeff had talked about with this competition, you don't know anything about this competition. It's not just like make a cool dish and then you present it and then you win. There's a lot that goes into it. We had to write the recipe. They had to make sure it met all of the DPI guidelines for a healthy school lunch. So we had to use reduced sodium chicken broth. We had to make sure we used a Wisconsin cheese that was low in sodium. We had to use Wisconsin grown vegetables. We had to make sure there was low amounts of sugar. Couldn't hardly use any like seasonings, which we did at the competition because I was like, there's a chef eating this, so you are going to season it appropriately. So, because they didn't say we couldn't. So, but we had to calculate all of the calories, and then we had to meet with, then it was Tammy, our food service director, and make sure she could approve. And then we had to have students taste test it and feedback. So it was a long, like 3-month long process to do what we did. And then when we finally got to Madison, it was like smooth sailing, we got this. So, and I remember even Rainey saying to me in Madison, like he was peeking around at all the other kitchens while they were cooking, and he comes up to me and he goes, "We're totally gonna win this." And I just went, "I'm just gonna take pictures of all of this kitchen stuff because this place is so cool. So this is what I want my room to be like." And now we have it. So anyway, when the catering program
Those kids used residential stove.
in my classroom,
Right,
yes,
that's
yeah.
the
But then
best
when we
we
got
had.
to Madison, they got to have the cool kitchen, and so I was just like, so it was really cool. And they loved it too. So, but that year we had 4 catering events. So that's where we started. Today, I think it's on my next slide. Is it why we started it? Okay. I told you it was my goal when I came here. I wanted to have a student-run business. I didn't know what it was going to look like when I started until I met the 4 kids that I had. But I wanted to provide some way, because I knew kids worked in fast food, but that's not really a true glimpse into the culinary industry. So I wanted to provide them a real-life, hands-on experience of what the culinary industry was like. Did I expect them to go into it after that? No, but they got a good passion and idea for it, and also learn some life skills that they'll use when they walk out our doors. We also utilize Panther Catering in order to fundraise for our classroom, because kitchen stuff isn't really cheap. Maintaining it is not cheap. Bowls break all the time, except now on our nice soft floor it doesn't, which is great. So, but we needed some way to fundraise for some of the things that we needed in our room. And then lastly, we decided that it was a good community thing. It was nice to have a catering program in-house so that we can provide that service for a lot of the groups that we already serve within the school. So that was our why. This year, we created a mission statement that is on the outside of Panther Cafe. So for me, when I think about what I wanted coming out of our cafe, I wanted wholesome products, not prepackaged stuff full of things that we don't know. I wanted it made by my kids so that they had some value into it, and that other people could be like, wow, where'd you get this? Came from Panther Cafe or Panther Catering. So that's kind of our driving point behind it, and why we put freshest, highest quality homemade cuisine behind it. Because anything you get out of catering or our cafe was made with not only love, but made by our kids. So that's where that came from. Oh, these are just pictures of our past kids. I've been really bad about taking current pictures because I'm usually the one running around washing all the dishes and our cool equipment, so the kids don't have to. So these are some of our older kids in my old room. And then what our service table looks like. So, all right. The other cool thing that Panther Catering is having is obviously we're growing. You can see year 1, we started really super teeny tiny. COVID kind of killed us because not a lot of things happened post-COVID. So that's why that year 5 was kind of our hard year. I believe most of the events we did that year were graduation parties. Not a lot of people, we didn't have a lot of banquets during that school year. So when we look to year 10, as of yesterday, when I counted everything that I already have in my calendar through June, we're up to 40 events. That does not include any graduation stuff that I don't have booked yet. So I only have a wedding booked for an alumni kiddo this summer that I couldn't say no to. So the co-passes, because I catered their daughter's wedding, now I got Austin's wedding. So I had to say, yes, I will do that. So I expect that number to grow. So our highest amount has been almost 250 per year. So it just all depends on what the need is. So, but we're continuing to grow. So these are just some of the events that we cater. If you know me pretty well, I have a hard time saying no. So I find any opportunity that comes to me an opportunity for my kids, and in turn, an opportunity for our program to grow and even develop. So a lot of people are like, oh, you're really cheap. Yeah. We when I talk about panther creating, we never started this to be a huge money maker. It was never like in my head, like, man, I make $1 million by doing this. That's not my goal. It was always to teach kids about food service and appropriate, how do I want to say it, safe serving of food. And so, and having that pride, because that's why usually I tend to disappear during events when they're announcing like, thank you to Panther Catering, and I hide in the background because it's all about the kids. I'm not, if the kids aren't there, and I always say, don't tell me thank you. You go to the kids and you say thank you to them. They are the ones that do the work. I just put it in my calendar and go buy the groceries and provide the recipes. They are prepping it all. They're serving it all. They're cleaning it all, except the dishes. I do that for them. So anyway, this year we've had awesome events in the cafe. We did, Mrs. Roseboom and I gave up our Valentine's Day because we just love the cafe in school. And so we spent Valentine's Day in the cafe. She did bouquets with the Panther floral. And then I did cake pop bouquets because over Christmas break, I got really addicted into watching cake pop reels and was like, I think we could add this into our cafe. So I did so much research on how to make cake pops. Like, it was a little crazy. So my kid is probably like, why do you watch so much cake pop videos? There's a lot of science behind making cake pops. So there's a lot of things involved to it. So we made these little mini bouquets, and then we had like a 6 cake pop arrangement that we put in like a floral sleeve, and people could actually carry it out like flowers. So that was really cool. We tied it in with one of the CBA events. So we got a lot of people outside of SCC to come see our cafe. They didn't even know a lot about it. So Mrs. Roseboom and I are able to talk about even the CTE businesses and teach people about what we're doing here at SCC. And they were like, that's really cool. So we also sold, which is what you're getting tonight, our 4-pack of our homemade muffins. So we sold those as well. And then of course the other pictures are after school cafe. So we usually sell homemade soft pretzels made that day. Tuesdays and Thursdays during basketball season, we sell homemade pizzas. So JV usually comes and eats. We have nachos. That's the only thing I don't make homemade. We have homemade cookies, the cake pops, and then we have our beverages as well. So that's what we sell for our after school cafe stuff. All right, where does the money go? Goes back into the program to the kids. We need more uniforms. We use that to get that. Like I said before, we use it to purchase equipment. We've used it to purchase a lot of the stuff for the cafe, like the cash drawer, the scale we had when we ran the salad bar, any of those extra little things. So we also knew, when we started Panther Catering and Cafe, I wanted to always be able to give back to the community, especially now that we got the new space. It was my goal that I wanted to always be able to give back. So I chatted with Mr. Fritchie. Every year, Panther Cafe and Catering will sponsor an 8th grader to go on the Washington, D.C. trip. We will fully fund their trip. So that's an every year thing that I have worked out with Mr. Fritchie. I've contacted the police department to see what they may need for like that family night that we had in August. I'm going to work with the library. So we just want to keep giving back. So that's my big goal. Again, we're not about making money. It's the giving back part. So, okay, this is the big thing. So excited about this. So make partnerships with our community. I met this last summer with a dietitian professor from UW Stout, and she was like, we got to come up with a way to help you out. You have a great program here. We hear about it all the time at Stout about your culinary kitchen. So she has a college student that is working on a community survey right now. They've worked with me and sent me emails about which questions I want in order to help successfully run our cafe. What does the community within our district need in order for us to open and effectively run this cafe? They have a whole list of every business from Roberts, Hammond, Baldwin area that they're going to go around and ask these questions to and send me the data, which will then help us to really pinpoint what does this community want out of our cafe, so that we're meeting the community needs, but also meeting our needs for what our kids need to gain from running this cafe, for the real world experience of the food industry. So that's the exciting thing. They would have been here to present, but they don't have the market research done yet. So it's coming. So I'm super excited about that. Our other partnership, the St. Croix Electric Company, we cater their annual meeting. We serve them breakfast every year. So that's a great partnership that we have with them. The kids come in on the morning of their prom to serve them breakfast. So that's really cool that the kids are willing to do that. And granted, they have to do a catered event, but there are kids that choose to come in on that morning of their prom. So we have a great partnership with the Baldwin EMS. I catered their quarterly meetings for like the last 2 or 3 years, I believe. So because one of the paramedics, they came into my classroom and they would do CPR training. And then they were like, "Do you do a catering business?" So we have had that partnership for a few years now. So I am hoping to build up our community education within the culinary program, trying to find people that would want to host culinary classes, or potentially me in the future once I kind of get more off my plate, no pun intended. But I did reach out because I have such a great partnership with them. The Baldwin EMS, they are happy to do stuff for our community ed, whether it's teach the babysitting course, they are willing to do whatever we have for a need. So, and I even told them they can use my cafe. Such a great spot. So, and then we have our usual partnership with any SCC group that we do for catering in-house. So we have a lot of people that we reach out to for and feed. So, all right. So what I want to do in the future, this is my end all goal. Hopefully we get there before I retire. We'll see. Got to keep the energy going, right? So we want to continue to collaborate with our IDS kids. They currently are running the coffee shop side of it. We want to collaborate so we can open a cafe for the community and serve food. One being the muffins that you're going to get tonight. That's why we're going to utilize the baking and pastry arts class, because they kind of more focus on those quick breads and yeast breads versus like when we open the cafe for lunch. That would be more of our advanced foods kids, because they will work the flat top grill, the deep fryers, those types of things. So we may have deep fryers for donuts, but we'll see what the community needs after we get our market research. The second one up there, I want to encourage students to enter more competitions, because I am a competitive person, especially when it comes to food, because I think kids like to compete, but when they can compete with food, it's just the creativity comes out. Like, it's just amazing what kids can talk about when they've made their own dish. I've really changed, even in my classroom, a lot of my assessments to create something with these ingredients and talk to the teachers about it. And listening to the kids talk about how they created this dish and where their mind went, it's just fascinating to me as a teacher. So my big goal before I retire, I would like to host a middle border conference culinary competition. However, no other family consumer ed teachers want to do it. They say, "You're crazy and that's too much work." But I say, no, we're going to do it. So years ago, I reached out to some chefs in Hudson area, and they were like, "Yeah, that's cool, we'll do it." But then I went to my conference for family consumer ed teachers, and they were all like, "No, that sounds crazy." And I was like, "It's not. I think it's cool." Okay, so someday it's coming. It's coming. I'm not going to give up on it. So I'm pushing some more kids to try to do SCCLA star events so that we can get more kids in the competition. They're just terrified to do anything and present. But I'm like, it's not that bad. So, or we can do Skills USA, which is a whole CTE, another competition kind of group, but it's specific to career areas. So it's not only just family consumer ed, it's tech ed, there's ag in there as well. So, and then of course we want to keep Panther Catering going. We want to keep providing our food service to the community. And most importantly, I want to keep giving back to this amazing community that has embraced what I do. So, and supported us. Any questions?
Doing the catering event, how small, how big events
Oh,
have you done or can you do?
I think our biggest event was 1,500.
Oh, wow.
That was a big one. My classroom was full of food, like boxes of chips piled high to the ceiling. But yeah, that was probably our biggest one. I think the second largest would have probably been 800.
And how small?
So 50, maybe even less, depending on how many people show. So, and this year I did kind of change my pricing because of economy stuff, but also the way that we do like our meal service. So if we have groups that are over 50, we charge per plate. In the past, I charged just for how much we made, but it gets to be a lot when you have like 800 people. So it's just easier to charge per plate. So, and I usually charge per plate based off of our cost. Because again, we're not really aiming for massive profit. So just to cover our cost and a little bit extra.
You need to
I only
change-
upcharge
You
30%.
need to change that and make money off of it.
Yeah, I was just thinking the same thing. Donations.
Because people are saying, why is it so cheap?
That's
It
fine.
doesn't
Well,
need to be.
I also
You can
don't-
still be
Yeah,
competitive, but
yes, but I don't have the
More money, but-
employees to pay like every other catering business too, so I don't have the overhead. But I know I hear it from my boyfriend all the time. He's a business guy. You gotta charge way more, and I'm like, I'm a cheap person in that
well,
part.
we'll just cut your
So.
budget.
Suddenly, no.
You got religion. That's
Do
awesome.
you, can we want to hand out? Okay, so we made our muffin packs for you. They have 4 muffins. It's double chocolate. You can hand out now. I put them to sleep. Lemon poppy seed, blueberry, and then white chocolate raspberry is in there for you to enjoy. So thank you very much for letting me talk.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was fun.
Oh, and we now have cool stickers that were printed by Mrs. Stevens' class. So
Like the little
they
chef.
come on our cool little boxes now.
That was. That was wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Only an extra box. Going across
Gonna
have to.
I'll leave it.
All right,
Anybody
thanks
in the
again.
crowd?
Am I the only one that's, whatever.
Anybody sign up for public comment? For public comment? Perfect.
Right into it. Just shut up. Right into it. I'm not the one who's taking things over.
Comments from board members and superintendent. We get to congratulate Ron for his appointment and do the oath of office. Callie, you gonna?
So he
Thanks
has
for
the
that.
oath already. You can just stand, raise your right hand, and then read that paragraph there.
Your other right.
I, Ron Stave, have been elected or appointed to the office of St. Croix Central School Board of the state of Wisconsin. Swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the state of Wisconsin, and will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of said office to the best of my ability. So help me God.
Congratulations.
Congrats.
Thanks for stepping forward. Pack.
So you should all have the information. Callie just needs to know who would like to go and commit, so she can get you signed up, because that's just a couple weeks away.
Not the one in Menominee.
It's
No,
in,
this is in Turtle Lake.
Oh,
This is the guy that runs on AI. I've heard really good things. Very good presenter, very good information.
We've had some good speakers.
April
I will go.
You see you're going, Dave?
Sure.
so
They have
far I have
coffee.
Dave, Tim, and Jeff. You said you could go right.
Anybody else?
I think I should be able to go.
I'm sure
The pack.
I might be able to go as well.
What time does it start?
And it's 6.
6.
So if we leave it,
Dinner's at
Dinner's
6:30.
Dinner's at 6?
No, registration is at 6, dinner's at 6:30.
we left
Oh,
it
okay.
5:30 from here.
It's 45 minutes.
45
So give
minutes.
ourselves an hour.
That should be good.
Yeah,
We go around 5-ish.
you'll drive.
Yeah, we can get the school vehicle.
Awesome.
When you gotta know by?
I think Monday is the deadline for registration, so
Okay.
as soon as you can.
Multiple delicious.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then there's another event that Eric and I have gone to in the past. I can't, I happen not to be able to go to this one, but it's a school board summit put on by the Wisconsin Institute of Law and Liberty. It's really good. Lots of interaction, small, group things. Pretty much have to stay overnight because it starts at 7:30 in the morning, so to get to Madison area. But if I'd encourage anybody that wanted to go to that to sign up and the school will pay for it.
I'm definitely out on that one.
So I can't go. I cannot go.
That's a Friday.
Friday.
Do that on a Friday.
Okay. And then I think last meeting we talked about possibility of moving our regular meetings to Monday instead of Wednesday. Anybody that
All in
couldn't do
favor,
Monday?
say aye. Just kidding.
Anybody that couldn't
So-
do Mondays?
So Monday permanently? I mean, there's some conflict with baseball. And then. I don't know. I mean, I'm not 100% opposed to it. It's gonna cause a little conflict.
Couple of months, you would,
Yeah.
in those months, we could either change it or.
Right. I'm just saying, like, I'm sure Lance is thinking the same thing, but Tuesday through Thursday is generally when we travel. So
I get it.
to have to shut
I
down
agree. I mean, it's tough.
a whole week.
25 years we met on Monday.
Yep, I mean, next week, month, we're meeting at Monday, April 13th already. One thing I thought of too, we discussed with the admin team, is there's generally music, band and choir concerts are Mondays, but we could be intentional about, they're
Yeah,
already out, so avoiding them. And we could even do our best to, if baseball's on Mondays, we're talking really probably April, May and June.
Yeah.
Right, so we could finagle that and try to stay away from that. And then my question would be, we're already meeting in April, and then our reorganizational meeting in May is when you set the board meeting dates for the year and present. You want to move May's currently or wait till that Wednesday, May 20th meeting to do that?
Could be May 18th.
Yeah, or the 20th. Currently, it's the 20th.
Monday's just in general works better.
Yep, actually,
The
May
time,
18th is
so.
open as well, so.
Yeah.
I don't have-
May 17th is the pancake breakfast for victory, so. Keep that on your
Yeah,
calendar.
I'm fine with
No free-
moving it to May
no
18th.
free
Okay, let's
marketing.
do it. Let's move that.
May 18th, and
Yeah.
then we'll put together the proposal for the year like we do in May
Okay.
and send that out
And you'll look
ahead of
for
time.
conflicts if we have to change.
Yeah.
Correct.
And also be mindful of financial, if we can have reports done in the year.
Yeah,
in the
especially
months.
October.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
October.
Months where we
Yeah,
need
is the only-
that.
We
only
push
one.
that one back.
So for June too.
But
June
we'll
is on June
anticipate-
7th.
We'll set it through May and then May we'll set for the next year and then so it'll be June, the Monday in June.
We've already set June
That's right. The
for this
17th.
year. So when we set the next year, it starts in July.
What's the
I
June
think,
date?
right?
17th.
17th.
17th Wednesday, we proposed the 15th, I guess.
Well, I'd rather- The 15th works better for me because the 17th I'll be in Fargo.
And I'm out of town the 7th, that week, that whole week with family thing in South Dakota.
It's too far. Looks
Okay.
like from now
I was
on.
gonna say
Okay.
that's, yeah, I was pretty impressed that you guys are.
It's gonna end up
putting
working
down
better.
Okay.
Cause all leg days and Sunday, whatever will be for the next year, so we're not.
Right. Yeah, we'll work with RJ and Chance.
So
With the music and then the athletics.
without objection, we'll just do that, take care of it.
Good.
Then we'll confirm at the reorg meeting in May.
Yep, okay.
Now we have special guests to talk about the SCC mental health program. So Joe,
That's right.
You weren't sure.
thanks for your patience.
Good evening, I'm Sue Frank.
I'm
Long-
Johnson.
Longtime member of the community and a past employee of the district, and I love the community. I love the children in this community, and that's one of the reasons why we're here is to talk about the mental health fundraiser that we do and we've been doing for years, because we want to protect those kids and help them as much as we can. And what we're doing tonight is mostly the PR, is to tell you when the event is. And these are our posters. Please share the information with everybody and get the word out there. The format will be similar to what it was last year. And that we went to Barn Board and we coordinated with them so that proceeds from that evening go back to our program. And it's 30%, and it's anything. If you come in and you order a drink at the bar, or if you place an order at home and go in and take it out, it goes from the time that the event starts at 4, and it will go through until 8:30. And I thought she said
She would run until 9.
she would run till 9.
So
So
last year, if it wasn't real busy, she even let the bar tab go till 10. And it is on April 22nd.
Yeah.
Please mark that down. From 4 till 8:30. So if you get there 3:30, anything that goes through the register after 4 o'clock, it's counted. So if you order pizza to go, be sure that it's picked up and paid for after 4. We need everything we can get.
yeah. And we have raffles. We'll have baskets of flowers. If you were there last year, we had things to raffle off. It's just a really good event for the community to get out and support the kids in our district. So we encourage everyone to come and at least acknowledge it. We give the money back to the district, and then it's used for anything related to the mental health of our kids. And it's just, I've been here and experienced the heartache of losing some of the kids that we've had. And that it's just, I can't imagine as a parent and as a grandparent now that what it would be like to have that happen. So
I don't think Sue mentioned, but this is sponsored by Trinity Lutheran Church in Hammond.
yeah,
In case you're not aware. I think we've done this 10 to 13 years or
Yeah.
something like that. It started off with waffle feeds, and then we've had spaghetti dinners. And as we are getting older, at least I am, it's much easier to have them do the cooking.
I don't
for us.
age at all.
Sue doesn't. And they will have a special menu. I think there's about 8 items on there that you can pick from. So Alyssa Iverson, who's a manager over there and a graduate of SCC, she is so excited to do all of this, and she's been wonderful to help us out, to work with us. She made sure that these information got to Kip, and we got these posters, and Sue picked them up, and so anyway, it's been a lot of fun. It's work, a lot of behind the scenes work that people don't see, like this sort of thing, and they get in the paper, and of course, then we get to go shopping at Gerton's for the flowers. This is also sponsored by Thrivent, in case any of you know what Thrivent is. Anybody not know what Thrivent is? Okay, so I applied for the card and we get $250 free money. So that helps us buy our flowers and if there's any other expense. So all of the money,
Everything goes back
yeah.
to the program.
You know, some of us, we donate to things like Sue donated for this, and I'll help out with the bulletin, and so there's a lot of things that we try and donate as part of it, because we want every penny that is earned come back to SCC mental health awareness.
Thank you.
Thank you.
guys. Thank you.
Can we see you there?
Thanks for
Just put it on the calendar. That's my night to cook.
I know. Just one thing, I don't know who's in charge of the Facebook page for SCC. Are you?
Stacy.
Okay, so when she gets it out there, I'm challenging all of you to share. I put it on mine and I just keep telling people to share and keep pulling it up every week, and towards the last, you can pull it up every day. That's the best promotions we can get.
Cool.
So, okay?
Thank you very much.
Thank you
We'll
for what
see
you
on
do.
the 22nd of April.
Yes.
Clifton Larson Allen. You're up.
I'm probably not as entertaining as everybody else tonight, but
Compete with third graders.
I didn't eat 2 of them.
okay. I'm Sarah Coles. I'm the in charge for the audit, 24-25 audit year. First, I just want to thank you guys for all your support over the years. Jen, I didn't show, but goodness you. So, the staff is always great to work with. They make the audit process go really well. So we're in and out, we do our stuff. So anyway, just wanted to thank you. I think I sent out a handout that Jen forwarded to you guys, yesterday.
Should be right on top
Yeah,
of the
it's
financial
2 pages.
statements.
So we're gonna use that as a little summary instead of going page by page in the financial statements. So this is kind of a summary of the audit results. The first item we're gonna cover is the audit opinion. You get an unmodified opinion in the financial statements, which is the best one that you can get. Your bonding agencies, UPI, they all like to see that, so that's great. This year we'll say that we had to do an implementation of GASB 101, which has to do with compensated absences. And prior to this, we would take a look at your like vacation and sick leave, and if you you don't pay out when they terminated or retired, you didn't have liability. But with GASB 101, they changed it and they're like, anything that is, hasn't been used and we had to do a calculation, we now had to record report the liability for that. So that's gonna be a change that you'll see, that you've seen in, if you looked in the financials in the debt section, and there's some extra disclosures related to that, but, so we had to implement that this year. Then we're gonna talk about the management letter. The management letter, we do report any findings that we have for the district. Our reoccurring one is lack of segregation of duties, which is normal. Pretty basic, you just don't have the resources available to properly segregate the duties. This year we had to do one for material audit adjustments. And it was just because of SBS, Forward Health revenue was reported in Fund 27, and it was a max settlement payment, and that had to be reported in Fund 10. So we had to move that out of there, and then we had to adjust that transfer from Fund 10 and Fund 27. Otherwise, we didn't have any other adjustments that we had to make. It was just that one, and it became material based on our materiality, so we had to report it. But it was 2 entries that made up, but it was related to the same thing, and I'll take that compared to some others that we see. Next, we have our compliance. We have to do compliance on various state programs and federal programs. We did not find any non-compliance on the state side, but this year we did have one. We tested food service, and we had to report a finding on that for the child nutrition cluster. Your internal control process, you have your determining official that reviews the application. They do the calculation, they do the determination, and then they sign the back of that application saying that they did it. Then they had your confirming official that essentially reviews it, makes sure that the determination is correct, and signs back. And we noticed that there was not signatures on the applications for one of the officials. So we talked about it during the audit. Jen immediately went into action, got it taken care of. So hoping now that with the change in staff and everything that this is being done. If the district needs a single audit next year, we will have to test that program just to report that it is good. But I'm assuming the way that things happened, like during the field work, and it was immediately taken care of, and I'm confident that it will be. Speaking of single audits, the OMB had changed in the past. If your federal funding was 750,000 or more, you had to have a single audit. Well, for the 25-26 school year, it's now changed to $1 million. So we'll see some districts falling off and not needing that single audit, which is huge. So we just have to kind of see as we go, what kind of funding that you've gotten. Not getting that as the ESSER program's done. You had a major one with the the CBTC workforce development. You're getting a lot of money from that. So might be pretty close to not needing one, but we'll have to see from there. Also related to those changes that the OMB did, they're changing the capitalization threshold for, assets that were purchased with, federal funds to 10,000. So we just kind of talked about that, about maybe changing the district's policy to be, the same as that. Right now, your capitalization policy is 5,000. So when we come in and we do the audit or during the year, Jen and stuff, they track that, and anything over 5,000, that fits into the capital asset gets capitalized in your assets. So by changing that, we would now capitalize things at 10,000 or more.
Yeah, and we actually
oh,
did
you
bring
did
that
it?
to the board in the fall,
Okay,
so.
okay.
Yeah,
That's taken care of. I couldn't remember, I didn't know.
Yep.
Recall, so just thought I'd mention that. So you can ignore that comment now.
no, you're fine.
But, again, that $1 million threshold is changed, for the 25-26 school year. Just a couple other things that we help with. We have the examination report that we do for the aid certification. The district has to do their aid certification, then auditors have to do one and make sure that it matches, so then they can keep moving forward with their annual report. So we assist in doing that in those submissions. As part of the single audit process, you have to file a data collection form. So we get that all prepared, get all the data entered, and essentially let the client know that it's ready. They just review it, they submit it, or they certify it, and then we do the final one to the Bureau of Census as well. And then we also, as mentioned, we do the compilation of the fixed asset reports. So we work through and come up with a report for additions, removals during the fiscal year, and we run a report for that. The next one, we were going to be talking about the funds of the district. The first one we're going to be talking about is the general fund. That's the main operating fund of the district. It accounts for all the financial resources not required to be reported in another fund. Just to note that in your in this data in the front part of your report, the general fund, Fund 10, and Fund 27 are combined together. So when we look at this general fund, we're talking about the two together. There wasn't really any significant changes compared from 24 to 25. Due from other governments, you'll see that did go down, but again, that has to do with the use of the ESSER funds not having that receivable at the end of the year because those funds are now done. And then a majority of the CBTC funds were spent the prior year, so there wasn't as much. That will also, those items also come into play with a little bit of the decrease in revenues that you have. That was the major reason why. Looking at the fund balance, the non-fund spendable fund balance, that has to do with your prepaid assets that you have. So it's essentially their expenses that were paid prior to the year end, and we set up that asset and then we record the expense later. But you know, they may want their money by the end of the year, so you just pay that. The last couple prior years, we had a restricted fund balance that had to do with common school funds. But during 24-25, those were all spent, so that restriction is removed. And then you have your unassigned fund balance, which can be used for any of the financial resources that you need within the district. I already kind of mentioned the revenues; those had decreased, but the reasons were you didn't have all that ESSER funding or the CBT funding, and then we also had in the prior year had emergency connectivity funds, which you didn't have very much of that this year. And then the expenditures were pretty consistent with the prior year. So you in your fund balance, you decrease your fund balance by 130,000.
But because of the total budget going down without the ESSER fund, our percentage actually went up.
Yeah, yep. We have that calculation there for the percentage of unassigned fund balance to your general fund expenditures. Quite a few years ago, the district adopted a fund balance policy, and your policy states that your unassigned fund balance should be about 17 to 19%. And as you can see from that calculation, you're at 17%. You've been pretty consistent over, in these like last 4 years here where it was. Kind of recommend doing 25%, but no need to. I mean, you guys are financially, you're okay. You can find about, you want to look at it as doing like 3 to 4 months worth, being able to have your fund balance there to cover like 3-4 months worth of expenses in the event that something happened. But okay, second page. Here we just report on your fund balance level. So the first ones we're going to talk about are your special revenue funds, and these have specific purposes that these funds can be used for. Education trust is your Fund 21. That's for your scholarships and your student activity funds. Then you have your food service fund, and then your community services. Little bit of change between the food service and the community service. When I looked, your expenses for both those that went down, but your revenues also went down. So there's a decrease in like food service, federal aid.
So didn't we have a large food service program that kind of ended last year?
It was kind of the year before when they had all that all the kids could eat.
Yeah, free lunch
You were
program.
getting a lot more money back then than what you are now. And so now that's kind of dwindled away. And then,
So what's our community services fund? What does that go for?
those
That's
are
like the athletic
funds,
teams and
The daycare,
yeah.
a large
So
portion
there's
of
a
that.
little bit
mental
less
health,
of
this
revenue
mental
there.
health fund, their funds go into that.
So that's just what your fund balance is for at the end of the year. The next one is the debt service fund. This fund here, you have Fund 38 and Fund 39, and that's used to account for your principal and interest payments and other debt-related expenditures that you had during the year. This is supported by you levy into these funds to help pay for those principal and interest payments. During the year, you did have a debt defeasance of about 2.4 million that you did that was principal, and it was applied to the July 13th, 2022 GL refunding bonds. So you did this defeasance. There's money that goes into escrow that helps pay for this later on, but you had 2.4 million extra principal that you paid because of this defeasance. So in total, your principal payments were about 4.7 million and your interest was about 1.3 that went through this debt service fund. Then the next ones are your capital project funds. The district has two. You have your Fund 49, which has been used to support your high school, middle school, elementary school projects and stuff, and part of the CBT project. That fund balance obviously reduced drastically. You're almost done. That work is still construction work in progress as in your capital assets or in your that part of the note disclosure, because it wasn't all the way done yet. So in 25, 26, it'll all be done. This fund will be closed out unless you're doing more projects that we need to keep it open for. But then we'll be capitalizing the project. And then you have a Fund 46. This was created back in 2015. Your initial investment into that was $50. So you're just earning interest. But essentially it was funds that the district could set aside. You had to hold on to those funds for like 5 years, and then you could start using them. You have a capital improvements plan and stuff that you look at and you review every year, but just the way everything else has worked, you just haven't been able to put into
I don't think
that.
we gotta talk about that one anymore. We're good.
With that fund,
But it's still out there.
with that one, is that the dollar has to remain in there for 5 years, or we had to put dollars in there to keep the account open for 5 years?
The account just had to be open for 5 years. I don't.
Yeah.
It was a
Right,
number.
it's not a dollar has to sit there for.
The
Correct.
funds that you would put in, like if you put in 100,000 every year,
Yeah.
you wouldn't have the 100,000 this time. You just had to wait 5 years from the time that you.
Yeah, okay.
Spend it. But you haven't spent anything, just gaining some
You're
interest.
teaching me, so I'm not sure.
Yeah.
What's the
fund number for the capital project fund?
49.
49.
Yep, yep. And then, the next area is just the long-term obligations. So we have a summary here of, what your outstanding balances were for your general obligation bonds, your anticipation notes. I guess you didn't have any of that this year, but in your promissory notes. You did have, a finance purchase during the year, for the purchase of 2 passenger buses. And so that was amounted to $283,746. So we added that to that project. Now, last year, you didn't have any principal or interest payments that you did on the finance purchase because last year you repaid a bunch of those. You couldn't pay them off, but it just meant that you wouldn't have the principal and interest payments coming through. So, but you do have that new purchase agreement that is reported as other financing sources in the general fund for that. Then we have done a calculation of your debt limit. So they take your equalized value and 10% of that is how much debt the district can borrow up to, and you're at 29.4. So you have lots of capacity for that if you do, but then you have to pay that up.
So what would be that number? About 100 million would be our total capacity?
Let's see, 39, short of that, yeah.
Just short.
Because it would be that amount, and then you take off the bonds and the promissory notes. So just short of that, if you want to. Yeah.
Do that.
So, that was all I had, just a brief little summary. You didn't have, still had a lot going on, but not a lot of changes. Everything was pretty much consistent and, work with the budget that you had and stuff.
Percentage of debt limitation, what's your recommendation there when you're not in a referendum period? We're at 29.4. Obviously, it's gone down drastically over the
Yeah,
last.
just because you've been paying on your principal and then you have that big, you've been doing deep things since the last few
Prepayments.
years, so.
So it does,
Yeah.
is there a recommendation or is it just like, hey, you should be going down every year that you're not in
We
a
don't
major
want it too
project?
high. But, if you went into, let's say you had to give back or something and you went in, right, they would look at it and like, that's probably pretty reasonable. You're only at 29.4% of your actual capacity. I guess I don't know really if there is a.
Like an 80%,
But,
when you're going to buy a house or a rental property and you need 80%, I don't know. I'm just thinking, like, if we had to leverage money, we would be in good shape.
yeah, you would probably be in good shape. I'm assuming others wouldn't, and however they.
That's just for
go through that.
capital.
Yeah,
Right.
Capital
Yeah.
stuff.
yeah.
So.
This is only for capital improvements?
Yeah.
Oh.
Any operational referendum would go right into the tax levy. Yeah.
That doesn't show up on that.
To Derek's point, you work with a lot of school districts. Is this,
I have some that don't have any debt at all,
Any
but,
debt. once they're falling apart?
yeah. But they're smaller.
Right.
It all depends upon the projects that you have going on, the improvements that you made. Some of them made, years ago.
And you don't get to borrow money without the voter approval, so.
Yeah.
that's a big-
Yeah.
So I'm kind of an audit committee wonk. I've been on national audit committees and a bunch of audit committees and can fly spec these with the best of them. School audit finances, maybe a little less complicated than hospitals. I've been on the hospital board too. But
see
this is
that.
incredibly detailed, and Jen, I've been here all the time. Jen has been here, but the fact that we don't have adjustments, we had a little hiccup this time, but the fact that we don't have adjustments is just amazing. And it's a credit to Jen and her work over the years. And I was on one audit committee where we had 18 material material weaknesses. And the next year they still had 18 material weaknesses. They didn't do anything about it, where we get it noted and a week later it's already corrected, before you're even gone. So
Yeah.
that's really a credit to Jen and her
In
team.
the past, I think our other ones have been related to good day because, like how DPI tells you to report it, you net your premium and your expenses.
Yeah.
And we can't do that. So, when we found that one, we talk about it and she was on it and she'll send me something like, did I do this right now? Before the audit even comes. So it's always warming to me that people like care that it's being done right. To me, it's huge. It's like, you know, cause I have some, Sarah will fix it. Or they try to fix it and then it's all over the place and you gotta follow through. It's just what you do and it is what it is. But I always appreciated that she, you know, they care. If you go to them, you talk to them about something and they're like, oh, let me do that. Or let me figure that out. So I have a feeling it's gonna continue.
Yeah.
This is
We just
Jen's
have a really
last-
good team.
Jen's last board meeting, and she has really set the bar for her successor. We really appreciate all this hard work. that you've
Thank you.
done this week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they all do a great job on my hair, so we appreciate it.
Yeah.
It's my second one that I start out with, so.
Well, and you weren't there probably, but it was Tracy something that assumed Clifton Larson Allen.
So Tracy and Toll,
Right.
I was like their office manager. And so.
Well, they did it for years before Clifton Larson.
Yes, Tom
Allen.
Curtis was that, and they merged with Larson Allen, and it was kind of like a lot of my duties had now been taken away because they're corporate or whatever. So Tom was like, nope, you're gonna start getting out in the field and so now here I am. Years later.
He was not as interesting as you were. Used to be.
I will tell you, we always tried to do what we could to get them to laugh, like
Oh,
just
yeah.
off the wall stuff, like we would do or say just something just to get them to laugh, but it's not a hard goal.
Yep.
So,
Any other questions?
Just curiosity one, how long does an audit take when you go into a school?
well,
Some faster
our
than others.
field work here is, well, you know, we do have stuff that we have them upload sometimes so we can get stuff ready. My thing is like, fine, we'll get our testing set up and do that, so we don't have to drive here and do that. But it's like all set up, so we come here, we send it ahead of time. Here's what we're gonna test. And so we get that to them, and they'll have files sitting here for us. And, you know, depending on what's going on, if there's like a lot of projects going on, a lot of debt being exchanged, I might be here like a day longer. Usually, I have it scheduled for the week, but sometimes I get stuff done in
How many
2
people-
days and
How
some
many
days
people
it's
come
3.
for a week?
I usually have 2 others that will come. You know, then you know, there's always stuff that we're waiting for or whatever. Some of the delays with, actually issuing the financial statements, has to do with the WRS that we have. We have to wait for these actuarial reports to come from the state. So even if I have everything done up until then, I can't issue it without having that WRS stuff. This past year, it was really, really close because of, the, single audit requirements. They didn't finalize all of the compliance supplements. So we had to wait and wait and wait. So even though we had to wait on to use our old testing templates, depending what they decided to change, we couldn't issue any reports until they finalized it, and they did not finalize that until, I want to say it was like the end of November. Yeah, I mean, it was really like, when you have all these, then everybody's sending theirs in to review, they're putting all that, some of the testing changed, the requirements, so then you'd have to go back through and do that, but usually in a good year, if we're just waiting for WRS, your guys' is one of the first to go through. I have you guys in one other one, like they're in around the same time because I have everything done. I've reviewed the work of others. So it's usually issued pretty quickly in that terms as soon as WRS is released, but we can't do anything until we.
Usually on site, like 3 days, right?
Pardon?
3 days here.
Yep, usually inside 3 days, yep. I usually am, I might not send other people back, but I just come to work on things to make sure everybody's happy, taken care of, whatever, so.
Cool.
Yeah. But
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
What will we feel from this GASB 101 compensated absences? Really?
it's just, it's more of a, we do a conversion entry, so you have your fund statements, and then in your financial statements are two, like a statement and that provision, they're just conversion from. Like you look at it and I wouldn't make any financial decisions off of what is in those first two. But we have to take that liability and spread it out, and then it gets converted into those and then reported on there. But you're not gonna see the liability in your general fund or in.
It'll feel no
in
strain.
any of your other funds. It's more of
Enough.
a reporting thing. So it didn't change your life. I mean, if you wanted to know what people's balances were and what you had, like if everybody was gonna leave this year, you weren't paying them out, but now.
Motion to accept the audit report.
Do we, Jen?
Yeah, I think we usually do.
Motion to accept the audit report.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
And we're doing,
Yes. we will.
Okay, treasury report.
All right.
Record reflect that Dave snuck in late.
I don't have as much detail as she does, but as of 2/27/2026, our balances include Citizen State Bank checking $2,309,492.92. Citizen State Bank Money Market, $12,297.21. Fund 46 is $62.33. Suicide prevention account is at $5,519.16. Debt service account is $935.34. Referendum account is at $62,094 even, for a total balance of $2,390,400.96.
I know I asked this last time, but I forgot. When do you have to have the referendum money spent by?
There is no like hard and fast rule, but we're gonna have it closed out here within the next couple weeks. I think there's like,
Before the end of the fiscal year.
yeah, there's about $1,200 to spend yet. And Brian Johnson is looking into purchasing a cooler for the floral department, so.
Have a motion to accept the treasury report.
Motion to accept the treasurer's report.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Consideration of consent agenda. We have approval of minutes for the February 16th meeting, approval of weekly bills for February 2026, and approval of curricular modification requests for students to enroll in full and part-time virtual courses. We have 44 part-time modifications and 4 full-time for a total of 48 modifications. A motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Student enrollment.
All right, it's been a good year in terms of in seats. It's a little anomaly. You can see last year, September 24, we started the year at 1592 and ended at 1572. It's kind of typical to lose around 10-ish kids. It was 20 last year a lot, but we started at 1504 and we're up to a high of 1559 last month. That's still holding steady at 1557. Again, those are number of students in seats, and then it breaks it down the size of our schools there, roughly 500-ish each school. Obviously, elementaries are biggest. 4K as of yesterday, on actual applications and paperwork done, signed, sealed, and delivered. Kids were at 72, so it's trending really well already for next fall. Yeah,
That's even more than we thought, right?
yeah. Well, yeah, it is already too.
Yeah.
So it's only mid-March. So
What do we were guessing 60 something next year, right?
well, that's what
62?
the census showed. I
Yeah.
thought was 68 or
60, yeah,
72 maybe it was, but yeah, and we know there's more in
Yeah.
process, so that's trending well.
What's our capacity?
I believe it was 18 per thing, so I thought it was 93-ish. We were kind of our capacity. Yeah.
That's facility capacity?
Yeah,
or
class
staff?
size. We'd like a class size of 18 or less
Benefit
for that
recommend.
young age.
Yeah.
Yeah. We could always take a few more and get paras, but.
Yeah.
And then I always like to look at the virtual school grid. Our virtual charter school, 310. Again, it's been trending positively over last year's benchmark all year. 36 of our district students are full-time in our virtual school. 102 are taking part-time courses, just to prove some more. 48 just this month.
When we call that part-time, is that just a student in class who may be taking
One
a
or two
class?
classes.
Yeah, they're attending.
They're still
here.
in school, not.
Correct. Or taking an extra or something in
And
there.
I presume we just get state aid for a butt-in seat. We don't get virtual ed credit.
Correct. They're an FTE. They're a one FTE.
For sitting
Whether
in
they're
a seat.
taking one
Oh, I see.
person, they're
But
a
we get
resident
less,
students.
we get less for a virtual student than we get for a
You
butt-in
get
seat.
less for a open enrolled student. So these are our district kids. So
Oh, okay.
36 there, we get the full amount, 12,138.
I think.
And at 88-ish hundreds for
Sounds
open
right.
enrolled.
For the open
Open
enrollment,
enrolled. There's more now.
it's more than that. Why can I not spy it on my stuff here? 10,102.
Oh,
Yeah.
So yeah, you take that times, 310 kids. It's a nice number.
So we have, it's a long story, but a young woman who has a 16-year-old daughter that may end up living in our house because she got a place to live. So they live in Ellsworth now. So if she is here, can she go to regular ed or do we enroll her in virtual ed? How do you do that? If
She can be
moves
in
here-
person or virtually,
Yeah.
just has to do the open enrollment.
She can't compete in sports. It has to be a full family move.
Oh.
She'd like
Maybe
you,
I've asked the
like you to get her in school, so. But we'll figure that out. We haven't, aren't sure. It's coming yet.
And again, we've always done well with our virtual school, with our difference of open enrolled students in.
But she would be living in the district though. So how do you, is she?
She would be
she'd
considered
be
a
moving.
resident.
Yeah,
So she would
basically where
move
you lay
here.
your head.
And so she would be an in resident, not an open enrolled
Right.
student.
Right, for enrolling in our school.
Yeah.
Again, athletic eligibility is
Yeah.
totally different course.
I don't think she's moving here for athletic.
Yeah.
All right, and again, thank you to all the ladies in each of the schools, and district office for putting this together. I mean, it's a lot of kids to keep track of and know exactly what that status is, and each year has to be a little bit of an adjustment, right? Because I mean, we don't know everything about everything, and sometimes the families don't tell us, whatever, where they're living or where they moved, or but
It's
it's
amazing how many people change on the last day.
oh really?
Oh, yeah.
The last day of
Well,
the
like-
school year?
Before the count,
Oh,
third
that
Friday.
You got
Got it.
Third
people-
Friday. We have to approve this or
No,
accept it?
no, it's just the monthly.
A report?
Admin report, yep.
Okay, any questions on that? You work of the school board, anything, recognitions?
We do. Katrina Gooding and Taylor Browning, congratulations on your accomplishments at the FBLA regional meet and on advancing to state. We're incredibly proud of your hard work and dedication. An absolute fantastic achievement for you both. Tracy Crowley and Sammy Gibson, thank you both for your support of our students in FBLA. Your guidance and encouragement and commitment plays a huge role in their success. I know we appreciate your time, your energy that you invest in helping them grow and achieve their goals. Evan Weatherly, thank you for sharing your performance with the choosing to recite your great uncles. I think great uncles poem was very special, and you performed them wonderfully. So thank you very much for that. Maria Paulson, Mandy Langman, and Kirsten Bosniler, Thank you for your hard work and support of the students in the middle school competitive speech. Your dedication and guidance of these students to help them find their voices, develop their talents, and shine in every speech and performance. Thank you, guys.
Okay, thank you. For agenda items, consideration of approval of shared service contract with CISA.
Want me to take it or?
Yeah, the summary, you do the summary.
Yeah,
I mean,
so
I can
I-
take the other one if you want to take the summary. They're kind of the same thing.
Yeah, I did the cost summary, so we do have some items like the administration piece for CISA that's increasing about 7.5%. But overall, we're sitting at about a 2.65% when you compare the cost from this year to next year. And the one thing that we are no longer going to subscribe to is the CTE library. So that's saving about $1,000 from the prior year.
What's the explanation of it going up, the cost going up so much?
I'm sure it's mostly staffing costs at CISA, so they
Yeah,
figure out what their
Overhead that they
overhead
gotta
cost
spread
is.
out
Got a lot
amongst the
of staff.
39 districts.
80 staff or whatever. And then the actual contract, Jeff, just so you know,
I didn't see it's not here. So if you have the CISA contract, I didn't see it.
Do I have that, Kelly? Or do you have that?
I can just print a different one.
Okay. Yeah, we just gotta get that to them by the end of the month.
There's like 22,000 that we pay to them.
No, it'll be $61,584 toward the bottom there.
We pay, oh, geez.
So all the different sections add up to about $61,500.
So you feel like this comprehensive consulting and network services is worth 7,500 a year?
Yeah, 'cause that's, these are things that we use, like every year we've trimmed a few things, but you gotta, it's like, you pay the member fee, or some years we're like, we're not, and then you gotta try to guess, and you go one time and you've paid that or exceeded it, you know, so it's kind of like a membership almost model that they run. That's fair to describe how they do that. So yeah, we each year we go back to our staff, and like, for instance, the CT one said, nope, we absolutely don't have to have that. And, you know, we know we're doing budget cuts. We can live without that library.
So, you know, like Dee worked for CISA as a curriculum coordinator in districts that couldn't afford a full-time, you know, got her level of quality on, you know, the 0.5 that they used her. So our services that we use are ones that we would otherwise have to hire a full-time person or wouldn't be able to afford at all. And CISA shares those services and they negotiate.
Like if you might have clicked on this contract already, but yeah, this is what we literally fill out. I mean, these are non-negotiable. You have to, part of CISA, you have to get those three. And then these are the
That's
ones.
the CISA admin cooperative bidding, purchase and delivery service.
Yeah. And then this is, like I said, the CT library, we decided not to, but yeah, the CCNS, you know, that's part of IS, well, you see the green ISPD. So that's where like all of our networking, the meetings that Chad goes to, the meetings that I go to, the meetings that Dee goes to, the meeting that the counselors go to, like all the networking, and then all the special workshops and things that they put on. You know, they'll charge you $30 if you're part of this network. Otherwise, it's like $400 per person. You know, that's kind of the model that they use. And I understand why they do that. They got to hire their staff based on this. That's why they want it now. So then they say, oh, we got a lot of things. You know, years ago, we used to be part of the ITV network, right? That just kind of went by the wayside with virtual learning. That was a big cost. But then they obviously staff based on these contracts. That's why they want them by the end of March to make their hiring decisions.
You know, I'm on the CISA board. And so if we don't have enough demand for a Spanish teacher, then they drop it. I mean, if they don't have enough to pay for that full-time Spanish teacher or whatever it is, then the school that only wants half-time can't get it. So this is how, it's really a shared services.
What do you get out of the comprehensive consulting and network services?
That's, and I guess I could have brought the catalog. That's what I was talking about, those networking meetings with IT, counseling, district assessment coordinator with D, superintendent, principal networking meetings. And then on top of that, they have special workshop like on standards-based grading that Brian or Dee will, in the past brought 5, 6, or 7 school staff to. What we've always advocated for is, can you do some of these at 3:30 or 4, because of sub shortage, and it's pretty much impossible for them because they're running in the same boat, because we can only send so many. We try to send just a few. They go, they get their information, they bring it back and share it with their staff. The district level consulting, we used to purchase 2 to 3 days in the past. You can see how much it is per day. Again, we've got pretty creative and frugal with how we do that. We've got a lot of in-house experts now. Maybe have got the training once, and now we just train the trainers and we do our own PD, mostly in-house for that, and special ed too. There used to be times where we need some special ed consulting. Folks come in for the day and teach our staff. As you can see, don't get any of those anymore. And then some are just part of that you have to, with like Title I, Title II, all those things, they help administrate that. And it's a percentage of our allocation. Carl Perkins funds, things like that, they help with. And then Chad really loves, we started using E-Rate. That's another technology services, ton of administrative work, right, that they can do that's well worth the money, rather than Chad with his expertise not spending time doing all this administrative tasks. So yeah, we've trimmed the fat, and we go through this every year, fine tooth comb, and keep it as minimal as possible.
Motion.
Second.
I can't make the motion. You're making the motion.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Preliminary budget.
All right, so as some of you were involved in the process, but we started meeting, I believe it was early October last year, to discuss preliminary budget for next year, knowing that we most likely were going to need to make some cuts. And so we've probably met at least a half a dozen times.
8.
Even more, yeah. Between October and now, to come up with the presentation for tonight. So we're looking at, overall, we ended up having to cut about right around $700,000 worth of expenditures out of our budget to make all of the ends meet. And we're really close to our goal. I think the Baird budget model still says we have about $12,000 in the hole. So we have a little bit more work to do on it, but this is just like our main plan at this point in time, with a couple minor things still up in the air. So we'll start with the revenue piece. So the first thing that's happening for next year, as we've been experiencing the last few years, is declining enrollment. So I assumed the same summer school FTE and a flat September enrollment, which brings our 3-year rolling average from 1,578 down to 1,566. So with that, we also get that 1-year declining enrollment exemption. Now, if we do end up with more, say, 4K kids than what we are anticipating, it probably still isn't going to be enough to bring it up enough to make it so we'll gain students. It'll still,
It's a 3 years.
yeah, it'll still be the declining mode. So I didn't worry too much about what we were plugging in for those students and all of that kind of stuff. And we'll see it more on the expenditure side, where we don't have those kids that we're paying now to go out to another district. So it does help us in that way. We're including in the model the $325 per student increase for those 1,566 FTE. So our revenue limit for next year will increase to just shy of $13,000 per student. So if you remember from past years, we've talked about how that operating referendum, each year we levy the 375,000 and the following year it gets baked into our per student amount. So it's going up by that 375 as well as the $325 per student. Because this year I think we're at like 12,350 or something, and we'll go to 12,930.
And that 325, just FYI, that's what you hear about in fighting between Republicans and Democrats.
That's
Weaver's
per pupil,
400-year
per pupil cost, right?
Yeah, so they're like, oh, that was his 400-year veto, but I mean, that was just to cover inflation, right? So without that, right, we'd be looking at another 500,000. So, I mean, that really has been a good thing, and then they use it as a political thing, but, yeah, he at least guaranteed schools are gonna keep up with inflation, depending on what your budget is. For us, that is basically right at inflation.
So we do still have our per pupil adjustment aid, and that is remaining at $742 per student. However, our FTE decreasing slightly, so that's also bringing the total amount down a little bit. We will be on year 5 out of 10 for our operational revenue limit increase. So we're adding that 375,000 in again for staff salaries, so that we can follow our new salary matrices the way we have them. And then we are losing our declining enrollment exemption from this school year. So we had $345,000 that we received this year because of declining enrollment that we will not receive next year. So we're taking that out. Our open enrollment you can see that the estimate for DPI is already out. They're estimating it'll increase from 10,102 per student this year to 11,030 for next year. So that was quite an increase. That we're using mostly to fund some additional virtual school positions that are needed. So we'll see those down below. We're assuming just a slight modest increase in our other local revenues of 1%, but our earnings on our investments, as interest rates have kind of started ticking back a little bit, we're not earning as much money on the money that we have sitting at the bank. So we need probably about $50,000 reduction in our earnings for interest from the bank. So also down below, we'll talk a little bit more about moving our middle school athletic programs over to Fund 80. They've always been a community-based program, and we looked into it a little bit more, and that was one of the options that we had, to take those activities and athletics and move them into the Fund 80 community service. But along with that, we will also if we can still collect middle school athletic fees if we choose, but those fees will have to also go into Fund 80 at that point. So
will we
take those
fund
out of Fund 10.
Middle school coaches out of Fund 80?
Yeah. No.
And we're confident that there'll be enough money to cover that?
We
with the various donations and things that we've received?
We would increase the levy for Fund 80.
Also, you're moving 12,000 from general to the.
We're actually moving.
This is just athletic fees.
That's just the fees that we
Transportation.
charge the kids. So the other costs are split into 2 different lines. So we have the like the coaching fees and stuff, that's about 140,000. And then they also have like their supply budgets, which is another 21,000. So the plan is to move that cost about 160,000 over to Fund 80.
Is supply like
Revenue
busing?
will also go over there. No, it's more like volleyballs for volleyball or baseballs or bats or all those
You guys are
different
getting
types
my
of things.
wrestling.
I go with middle
Well,
school
and
coaches. get paid.
just for the board's benefit, Fund 80, we can increase, it doesn't subject to the revenue limits.
Right.
So we can increase that by a vote at the annual meeting.
Yeah.
So we fund the YMCA and a couple of other things out of that. And so this, we just can basically move it. We can still get the money from the
Right.
taxpayers, but
Right.
we don't
It
have
moves
to
it
include it in the
out of the
revenue
general
limit.
fund
Yeah.
that's under that revenue
good
limit.
move.
Yeah. So that's the plan there.
Tim, part of the middle school athletic program.
I know we had some other thoughts too, and I'm like, I don't know if that's
Tried
gonna
to stretch
fly,
the
but
limits as much as we could.
We just had a really good audit session.
Yeah, that's right, I know.
so with this scenario also, as we have been doing the last few years and prepaying debt in order to keep the mill rate at $9.20, with this scenario, we would be able to prepay about another $3.5 million worth of debt. So
Is
that
there
will keep
any
our mill rate
possibility that
stable.
we could put that into the Greg Green Building Fund? The $53.
Oh, Fund 46.
No.
We can't put any of that because it's from the levy dedicated to
Right.
debt service.
We can only levy it because we owe this money for debt service.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Unfortunately, that's not an option. So those are the revenue changes then. For expenditures for next year, I've kind of separated them into two different areas. We have all the staffing changes and then the other more general things. So for position changes for 26, 27, like I mentioned earlier, we are looking at adding some staffing in the virtual ed program. So they're in need of a social studies teacher and also a special education teacher. And that will be a half-time for SPED and a full-time for social studies. We also have a high school interim special ed teacher. She's like an intern this year, that will be a fully credited teacher next year. So that is another one of our staffing changes. Not a new position, but just a difference in the amount that she's getting.
2.5 now and gonna go to one full-time?
No, she is full-time, but as an intern, it's just a stipend that they receive. So for the fall semester this year, she received a very small stipend to do that work. And then in the spring now, we're paying her as a substitute. So next year she will be a full-blown teacher on the teacher salary schedule.
Is it
So
like
there's an
$5,000 she gets for the fall semester?
Yeah, it's not much. I think it's
Student
even like
teaching is
4. Yeah. Yeah. So that was one thing. We're still trying to wrap our head around. We're looking at about another 2.75 FTE staff reduction. We've been working on exactly what that is going to look like district-wide. And I don't think we're quite at the point where we're ready to pinpoint exactly what those will be, but I think we're pretty close on that. And then to what we talked about with Fund 80, transferring those middle school athletic coaches. This is the salary portion over to Fund 80. We've also talked about reducing overloads district-wide. We have several staff members, probably 5 or 6, that have overloads because they're teaching during their prep or something like that. So we're reducing that down. And then we also have a reduction in some IT summer hours. So those are like the staffing changes. With that, the CPI for contracts starting July 1st is 2.63%. And we were able to get the full 2.63% into the budget. We considered a 2% increase for substitute rates. Actually, I think that was 2.63. We just forgot to change the thing there, but which is about 15,000. We're just guesstimating. Of course, our health insurance premiums are always a lot of money. And we're looking into self-funding starting in January of 2027. But because we're under a multi-year contract with Health Partners, we would still have to go through Health Partners for that self-funding model.
You can find a way out of that, can't you, Jeff?
What we're hearing
big
is, it's still going to be a 12% increase from what we're currently paying to be able to fund that. In the first few years, those premiums will have to remain high. And of course, long-term, or just the funding is a long-term strategy for, getting those costs down, but it takes time. So I think we can, we're
Basic thing
working
is that
toward it.
rather than the insurance company reserving, we keep the reserve.
Right.
You may still have to pay it out, but those reserves can sometimes be millions.
Right.
And the insurance company just sits on them and makes a profit.
It's gonna be a big decision and a lot of discussion at the board level. That's like the next big, I think, decision the board would have to make. And we're gathering as much information as we can. It's so many different ways you can.
How do you start with that reserve? Like, where does the startup money come from? Or do you hope that you don't have to pay anything out and
By stop loss. So if somebody's claims exceeded 50,000, then they cover that. And then you have a total $2 million, $150,000 catastrophic for the whole.
Or somebody to do that part.
Stopgap, so you
Got
can't
it.
exceed your budget.
yeah,
Instead
that's
of us
what,
paying $2.3 million in premiums to health insurance over the year, we're just keeping that. And that's our,
right.
then you gotta keep it in special,
Right, and then
separate
Jen
account.
makes a little profit on it as she's investing.
Get invested,
And then you hire a third-party administrator to review the claims and pay them, because otherwise.
Can you be a part of a co-op if you're self-insured? Cause I know that's how we do it as our company. So I was just curious if schools.
CISA has something they're doing now. I don't know what that is.
Yep, some school districts do that.
Okay, I'm just curious.
They do it, not just with districts, sometimes just area businesses.
Yep.
Okay. Consortium.
Yeah, so regardless of how that plays out, we're still looking at a 12% increase is kind of what I'm gathering from our conversations with Jay Counter. So
It's more of a long-term play than an immediate cost.
yeah. So one of the things, in order to be able to get the full CPI increase at that 2.63% for staff, we have in our plan to reduce HSA contributions by $250 for a single policy holder or $500 for a family policy holder. So we kind of felt like we would like to, honor that full CPI for them. And the reduction in the HSA might not hit some people like right away if they have a balance built up in their account. So we thought it was a good, like, happy medium kind of thing.
Yeah, it was pretty back and forth discussion on that one.
Yeah, it was.
Perspective,
Yeah.
the HSA contribution for the year is 44,000.
Like almost 4,500.
So I mean, kind of
Still
for perspective to reduce it to 5,500. And I kind of did the math, the difference between two
What's the
points.
deductible on this gold plan?
It's 30, the big one is 3,500 single, 7,000 family. But 2.63 versus 2.0, right? And in order to break even for the $500 if you're family, you're about 75,000. If you make 75,000 or less, you're getting
Lesser increase than the decrease. Of
yes, but that money is guaranteed to show up in your paycheck, whereas HSA you may or may not use it and hopefully have health savings account balance, you know.
Well, the CPI is a long-term play too, you know.
Right.
If you reduce it now, then you reduce it forever, a certain
Right.
percentage.
Yep.
That was-
So annual numbers, the HSA?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes, that would be for the full fiscal year.
Okay.
So moving down from there, we have just a few minor things. I did estimate a 2% increase. I shouldn't say me and Sarah worked on this together. So it was really
Sarah and
fun to, you know, see her thinking and stuff as we started working on this too. So we estimated a 2% increase in dental insurance. So that's in the model. We didn't assume any increase in disability, vision, or life rates. Those remain pretty stable. The Wisconsin retirement, we also estimated at no increase. It has been increasing just slightly each year. So it wouldn't impact it too much if it did go up by 0.05 or something. And then of course, we always have that additional cost as salaries go up for that 2% 403B contribution. So those were kind of the different staffing and benefit things that we were looking at. If we get into the other object series, we've got, again, with the revenue and levying for Fund 39 for a debt prepayment, we added that in as well on the expenditure side to show that money going out. We do have some, as Sarah had mentioned earlier, about our bus leases that we had prepaid and 2 years ago. We have some more of those payments that are coming back on for next year. So that was about $74,000 that are coming back on. Most of those, I think there was only one that it wasn't the final payment. So most of this will come back off.
That
in
mean
the
we're gonna have to
following
start
year.
turning that fleet over again?
Yeah.
We still have a lot of buses that are
Aged
older and, yeah.
Especially the wheelchair lift bus. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, we have a couple of things for the virtual school. For this fiscal year, we reduced all of the building budgets by that 10%, including the virtual school. That's been very hard for them with all the technology needs that they have and different things. So we're reinstating that back to what it was. And then with just the expected growth of the program as well, we added a little bit more in for those curriculum and technology needs. And the same thing with the advertising. So we've been advertising in the Milwaukee market, and that's been, we're spending a little bit more on advertising than what we have been.
Do you have any sense of how many students that advertising contributed to? I mean, and I would say kind of out of market enrollees. I mean, because 3 kids and we've paid.
Right. I haven't asked for specifics on that, but I have talked to Steph and it sounds like they're getting quite a few.
Just the continued growth that we've seen in the numbers.
Exactly. And then even the Fox Valley area, we never used to be able to touch, and we're getting them from there too.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, so I think it's been beneficial. We are adding another $50,000 for legal fees in this budget. We have a little bit of, at the elementary school with the phone, they increased their fees. The state of Wisconsin revamped their contract with AT&T, which is our only option over in Roberts at this point. So that's going up about $4,000 on a year-over-year basis. They are getting rid of the analog lines. I believe it's a July 1 of 27 date. And so I know Chad has been working with them on other options, what we can do over there.
Interrupt real quick. The additional 50 for legal fees, is that paying invoices due or?
No,
what's-
we're just anticipating.
We're anticipating legal fees.
Budget, you never have had much of a legal fee budget. What was it?
It's sitting at like 25,000 this year.
So just an update, you got the one this morning again. So back in November, we were through 3/4 of the year. It was like 193,000. And there've been another 57,000 since then. So we're at 243,000 in just under a year. I mean, it was the end of April when it started. So
And what part of that is covered by insurance?
I just broke that out.
No,
It's a-
it would have been the TRO
And then Lori Lipinski as well.
and Lori Lipinski, but that's not included in the 200,000 because EMC is paying her directly.
And I can do a 1-year follow-up if you want.
It'd be good.
Look at for future agenda items. Okay. But yeah, that's 50,000 probably, isn't it? We haven't heard from the one gentleman.
Yeah.
We wanted to add 100,000, but obviously that was
Not gonna
not gonna happen, so, yeah. So moving down, we have Chromebook cases for all the district Chromebooks. We're getting rid of that cost, and then we're also reducing the Chromebook budget. I know Chad has a new plan, but that was $88,000 reduction in his budget. Plus the 7,500
High
for the
level,
cases.
right? We're not, that's about what we'd order each year to replace the 5th grade and the 9th grade and get them in a cycle. But eventually gonna have to order them, but moving away from Chromebooks 1-to-1 at the lower levels. Just kind of a philosophy thing and also a financial thing. Philosophically, kids spend enough time on screens, so moving away from them, fully supported by educators, and I would assume families once this gets rolled out. And then, obviously saving 88,000 per year moving forward is a good thing. So going more to carts in the lower grades, use them as needed for projects, and especially the lower elementary. I think it was a 1-to-1 of 7th and 8th, or just 8th. I can't remember where kids are bringing them home still. High school, it still would be 1-to-1.
I was waiting to bring this up at an appropriate time, but just on the topic, like I've just started to see studies around retention and moving away from technology. And it's probably a D question, but curious to pick her brain on that at some point.
Like retention regarding learning.
Just
retaining the material.
seeing better results from district or from classrooms or whatever that don't have Chromebooks and actually are back to textbooks and handwriting. And I don't know if there's any, truth to that, if it's a one-off article you see on the news that just gets blown up, or if it's actually
I think there's
real
research. Tom got a grant from Microsoft to test iPads in elementary school, and his report was that it didn't contribute one thing.
Yeah.
It just made his work more difficult, and the kids struggled with the technology and they're distracted. So I think there is basis for that.
But anyway, wrong time, but something that would be interesting to
future.
If she sees, if she finds stuff that's interesting that would be worth talking about, it'd be fun to hear about it, just given how much we spend on stuff like that.
Well, and maybe just explain the different in philosophy at the elementary school and what went into supporting that decision would just be a useful thing.
You really think we're gonna be able to drop the mill rate in 27, 28?
No.
Well, there was a way we had it figured out.
We didn't put anything in for prepayment of debt moving past this year. So that's why it kind of drops off.
Got it.
We could, just not prepay as much debt.
You're right. That was a thought that we talked about, just backing off on that to reduce it.
So some of the other highlights here are seeing the grounds budget. This year, some of you may have heard, we had our snowplow bill came in just for the early part of winter at $60,000, which is quite a bit more than what we spent the last few years. Later on to find out that our snowfall has been pretty much average this year. So we're like, we need to get some more money in their budget to cover those additional costs. So that was one of the bigger increases. You can see also that we added, assuming that we have 10 of those 4K kids that are now not open enrolling out. So reducing that expenditure by about $60,000. And then of course, with the increase in that open enrollment amount, our resident students going out to other districts, that cost will also increase.
I think exactly 64, we could just stay at target 17%. We don't need to, in this budget shortfall, we don't need to be diverting more than that.
Yeah, right
Target
now, there's nothing in there for fund balance. As if our revenues continue to grow though, we're gonna have to start putting more in again to then maintain that 17%. But the third page of your packet is kind of just the effects of our declining enrollment. So I presented this for the first time last year just to kind of show. I've updated now for 26-27 and what that 1 year declining enrollment exemption is. So after next year, if that holds true, we will have lost about $1 million to declining enrollment, just over 900,000. And then at the same time, you can see what our operational referendum has added there in the center section, about 2.8 million. So if you net those together, we've really seen about 2 million of the 2.8 that we've levied additional because of the declining enrollment situation. And then on the last page of your packet, that's the Baird budget model. So you can see for the budget year 26-27, we still are showing a slight deficit of about $12,000. And that was the difference between our original model that we presented to the administration team here a couple weeks ago. We had it at a 2% salary increase and then no HSA reduction. When we flipped those, it caused it to go to the negative just a little bit. So we still have a little more work to do on it, but I think we're pretty close, and some of these other decisions, you know, still need to be made. So any questions?
Any questions?
I don't have a question, but yeah, it was just kudos to you and the admin team for the process of going through that. It's not fun. It was pretty cool to sit through it and learn, and there's a lot of work involved. So nice work.
Thank you.
I appreciate we started early and not doing it in May and June.
Yeah,
which we've done for years and years. Very thoughtful. Thank you.
You don't have to make a motion or do anything with that.
No. In the interest of finishing the meeting the same day it starts, we'll consider core agenda items C, D, E, and anything that we need to know between the first reading and the second reading.
No changes between first and second.
Unless somebody wants to peel one out or ask questions.
I will make a motion then to approve core agenda items C through F.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. All right, so that handles that. First reading, management of student meal accounts.
Again, just a policy, much like the policy for rule 458, you know, just in policy 458, come out of the food service audit, just some things that needed to be updated or changed for the DPI audit. So that's why that's kind of a one-off, which will always be the case. You're going to always back them. Sometimes it just comes to our attention of a new policy update. And so that's what that is about. Just, yeah, any stuff from the audit, how our fund balance has been going down at food service, et cetera. And, the issue with, families and having negative lunch balances, remains the same. It's something she really tries to, and we have donations, mittens from Maryland, stuff like that. Even once in a while, the mental wellness thing that can help out with students in need. But regardless, Chartwell's has a budget to balance. And so, yeah, that's kind of the impetus for the update to policy 760.
Well, and there wasn't, so the actual policy is staying the same, because he came back and said we didn't need to add anything as far as, how we're gonna handle it if they have an unpaid balance. But what we needed to add was all of that non-discrimination language. So that's the majority.
What are the other ones?
Yeah.
What's a typical liability that school carries with that?
I'd ask Sandy too.
Which I don't know.
Is it like 10 grand or?
I want to say it's somewhere in that realm, but she could provide us with a report that shows what those negative balances are.
Just curious what.
So I think for the consideration of second reading, that would be good information to have. Just what kind of deficit it generates, and is it a $2,000 issue or a $20,000 issue?
Yeah, I think it's somewhere.
I'm just curious
around
on
that time.
like with the state, whether they decide to fund the lunch program or not. Does that have to be how will a school notify that? Like, how would you get notification? Is that like Minnesota right now? Their food program is funded through the state. So I wonder,
legislation.
yeah, so it's just during that.
Yep.
That would probably never come back to
Bill
Wisconsin.
that they'd have to introduce.
They have a lot of people get
COVID.
the food program.
It was COVID.
Well, should the daycares. There's been rumble about it, and that's why I just, if you go through all the work in the budget and that changes, how does that affect us?
So future possible agenda items, we heard something about.
Yeah, so I know, another one would be JA Counter coming and talking about self-funding, and they've done really nice high-level presentations. That would be a good place to start. Legal fees, and then D on, studies or learning, going away from Chromebooks and digital and more retention through face-to-face interaction.
And, I work with Ally and them on the agenda, and I'm gonna be more mindful of kind of the highlights that we had almost an hour of that today, and I'll be more mindful of not doubling up. And then we're gonna try to keep them more shorted. I mean, all good information. I mean,
It is,
stuff.
we say, try to go 15, 20 minutes max, but I
They
mean,
get
when you're that
excited.
passionate.
No, none of
That's
them.
great.
None of them, but we didn't need all three of them in one night. So we'll be mindful of that too. Important dates are all listed. April 1st is the PAC meeting. A bunch of us are going to that. The April 13th board meeting. April 24th is that will thing. I don't think anybody's going to that. 26th, Sunday, is the board development meeting at 5 p.m. here at the district office.
So we're trying to get something set up for next week with Lee.
Okay.
There's-
So when we've ordered out, we've catered in, is there competition between our food service catering and Panther?
I don't think she wants to do it on Sundays though.
No, I get that, but I just think when you
those
do
are
events,
two competing.
yeah, because the Panther catering is probably cheaper.
Yeah.
Because they use slave labor.
Yeah. Volunteer.
Oh, and it's volunteered. Sorry. But we should try to support that.
Yeah.
All right. 17A, per Wisconsin statute 19.851-C, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which governmental body has jurisdiction or exercise responsibility. 1, employ ABP in lieu of insurance request. 2, approval of resignations, retirements, and terminations. 3, approval of appointments and contract modifications.
Have a motion and second to go into closed session. Roll call. Nate?
Aye.
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 We're gonna take a photo